Okay, hello. Today I want us to look into arrays in C++, right? So just going to be talking about arrays, how to use them, what are they, and maybe how can you be able to implement them in your own programs, because we will find ourselves in instances whereby we need to work with collective data, right? So we need to be able to know how to implement some strategies of working with those collective data in programming. So in my programming examples, I am going to be using code blocks. I think you are using code blocks as well, so everything is going to be clear. So I'm just going to be switching between these two desktops. I have a desktop in here that uses that is where I am going to be doing my programming, and then the other one I'm going to be displaying my slides. So let me just go to my slides quickly now, and then in here okay, code blocks likes to play games. I know, likes to play games. Okay, now it's okay. So this is where we are, arrays in C++, right? And then let us go to the objectives. We wanted to be able to define arrays. We also want to be able to explain usage of arrays, right, in C++. How do we use arrays in C++? We also want to be able to do what we call single, or to be able to differentiate between single and multi-dimensional arrays. Excuse me. You will see as we continue with our arrays topic. We'll see what are multi-dimensional arrays, and then of course what are single dimensional arrays. And then we want also to be able to initialize them arrays. I think that's clear. Initialization is like in those variables. The way we initialize variables values, those ones, that is how we are going to be doing the initialization with arrays, right? And then we also want to differentiate between arrays and pointers. Let's see what's the difference, what are pointers, and then what are arrays. Okay, so basically we say arrays are a collection of variables of the same type that are referred to by the same name. I think you are understanding that. It's a collection of variables of the same type that are referred to by the same name in C++, right? So when we are talking about names, for example, if we have a number of students, or a number of lecturers, or maybe a number of what do we call those? Maybe a number of cars, right? And then we have the what we call car name, or student name, or maybe employee name, right? But in this instance we have used student name. So if we want to take the names of those students, if we have, like, let me say 10 students, and then we are going to collect those 10 students names collectively, taking them collectively, we are going to create what we call an array to store them. Like if you say we want to store 10 students names, if we want to store 10 student names, right, we are going to create an array that is going to hold how many? 10 students, right? Yes, and here if we have what we call a student name here, string student name, and then as you can recall, we call this a variable, right? This one is just a pure variable. I think you are now clear with variables. If you do your practices on daily basis, by now you should be clear with variables. You should be clear with initializing them by now. And then here we want to introduce a new concept, string student names now. And in the student names we initialize the value, like we stipulate the container, but now we don't want just to store one value, but then we are going to store 8 of the student names, not just one student name, because here we have only one student name, but now we want to store 8 of the student names. They are the same type, they are referred to by the same name, and then we are going to store 8 of them. So we say arrays may have from 1 to several dimensions, although the one-dimensional array is the most common. I think that's clear, right? This one is a one-dimensional array. When we say this one is a one-dimensional array, we look into this square brackets. We only have one value, one values inside the square brackets. If we had a two-dimensional array, we would have two square brackets in here. But now you can see we only have one square bracket, this opening and closing. If we had maybe a two-dimensional array, we are going to have another one, which is a two-dimensional array. Like this one, when you say student names, in here we've got this one is a single dimensional array, right? It has got one square bracket, and this one has got two square brackets. This is why we call it a multi-dimensional array. Otherwise, this one is a single dimensional array. So basically, we say arrays offer a convenient means of creating lists of related variables. I think that's clear to you. When you say you want to create a list of related variables, because we said we had a collection of names, right? And then we want to collect, we want to list it, or we want to collect it, we want to use it collectively. Maybe we want to loop over them, we want to make selections, we may want to do anything over there. We are going to be using what we call arrays. Alright, maybe let us go to the next slide. For example, you might use a one-dimensional array to store the account numbers of the active users on a network. Like for like, let's say Facebook, right? Facebook, they can use a single or a one-dimensional arrays to store active users numbers, right? They can be able to store them on single dimensional arrays or whatever they want to store. That's an example. Okay, we said the general form of a one-dimensional array declaration is that that one we said it's a type. When you say type, the variable type, just like when you are naming variables, the variable type, which means it's gonna be int in here, int, or maybe string, because here is a name. So we're just going to say string name, and then we give the size. If you want to have 5 values in here, or want to hold the five names in here, so we're going to type in name 5. But if we want to hold the 10 names, we're going to type in here 10. So we're going to say string name and then 10 in here. Already we have our array like that. So an individual element within an array is accessed through an index. An index describes the position of the element within an array. So when we say int, like string name in here, what happens is when we say 5, when we give in 5 in here as the value, what happens in the storage, your values are distributed like this one. We have the first name in here, the second name in here, the third name in here, the fourth name, fifth name, and then the sixth name, right? So what this statement is saying, an individual array is accessed through an index. This one is at index 0, low and low. When we count in arrays, we don't count like 1, 2, we don't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. But here we have like 5 indexes right now, because it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, we've got 5 indexes in here. So arrays, whenever you are counting with arrays, you will always start at index 0. Meaning that when you want to access the first element in an array, that first element is gonna be at index 0. Just like what we are saying here. In C++, all arrays have 0 as the index of their first element, right? Meaning that if you have this array, this is an array of numbers. This one was going to be int numbers, and then equals to, like, let me say int numbers. We are going to make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are going to make it int numbers and given 6. And then when we start to want to access any value within this one, we are going to access using the indexes. The indexes, we say it starts from 0 here, right? This one is at index 0, this one is at index 1, this one is at index 2 and then it's set. I think you understand that. Okay, so let us go to the next slide to see a structure of an array. How exactly is an array is structured, right? So what is happening in here? We have what we call inside the main method which is this one. We have a simple array that we have declared in here, and we call it, the name of the array is called sample. We say it is going to be of data type integer, right? So we are going to say int sample, and then we say in the sample we are going to be holding 10 elements. So that is why we are just specifying it as 10 here. We're just going to say int sample, and then we have 10 elements inside this sample array, meaning that this reserves 10 integer elements within this sample array. This one is just a variable because it does not have these square brackets, right? It is just a simple variable. So when we want to loop or load each and every value within the array, what we are going to say, we are going to say for t, or and the for loop, which is for int t starts from 0, and if t is less than 10, we add t, meaning that we add 1 to the t, and then we going to print out maybe low t, meaning that sample t, maybe t1. If this is where it's t0, we are going to say t0 is equal to low 0 low 0 is 0 0 is 0. I think you understand. We say, notice how sample is indexed. Then when we display the array, we're going to say t0. We are looping like, yes, this is sample t, which is sample t, which is going to, in the first loop it is going to take the 0, and then loop again is going to take 1. This one is going to take, meaning that this is sample t. It is going to say this is sample t1 or sample t0 and 0 here, sample t1 and 1 here, sample t ban up to the last t, right? According to other programming languages, this loop is enough for looping or displaying everything in here, but here we are just collecting this. We are loading the array and then we want to display it, but then this one is enough for just displaying the array in other programming languages. Maybe let me just create a simple array. You may wanna code along with me so that we can demonstrate how this works. I'm just going to use this one loop to demonstrate how this one works, and then I'm going to include this later on. But then now I'm just going to use this one. I'm just going to create an array and then use this one loop. So okay, let us go to our code blocks. Where is our code blocks? We're trying to run our code blocks. It ran in the other screen, I suppose. Oh, okay. It ran in here. I want to see. Okay, yeah, it ran here. I want to create a sample project, meaning that I'm just going to choose this one, console application, and then it must be a C++ project, and then maybe array tutorial, right? And then I'm just going to finish it. So this is how we are going to demonstrate the usage of our arrays. Remember, this is how we code in C++. Every code that you run must be inside these two curly braces. The main method. This is the main method, and the main method has got two curly braces. Every code that you run must be inside these two curly braces. And this statement, the return what statement, because we said this one is a method of integer type, it returns 0 if everything that is in here is okay or is running well. I think I don't know how we are going to get it, but please get this one. So meaning that this return statement should always be at the end of your code. Your code must be inside in here. Even if you create a function outside in here, if I was to create a function, maybe like let me say public void, maybe my new function, right? I don't know what's happening now, but okay, it was trying to think. I think the problem was there. If I want to run this function in C++, we said in order for you to be able to run this function, it must be called in here, like my new function, like this one, new function. And then this is when you are going to be sure that this function is running, right? And with C++, C++ reads code from top to bottom. So if you just declare the function like this, and then you try to run it, it is going to give you problems because this main function comes before this one, so it won't be able to see it before it runs it. So in order for you to be able to see it, you just cut the main function and put it below this one, like this, and then now you are going to be able to run this function. For example, I am going to be using this function in this program, so everything that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be doing inside this function, and then I'm going to be sure that it runs because I have called the function inside my main method or inside my main function here. Please understand this one, the logic of the structure of your your code. And the only way for you to be able to understand this logic is for you to keep practicing your code, keep practicing, so that you can have errors, so that you can have bugs, so that you can have all those problems with coding, and then those helps you to understand with how do you have to code basically. Otherwise, we are talking about arrays here. So this is where I am going to initialize or declare my arrays, just like this, int sample, and I'm going to hold the 10 values in my sample array, and then here I want to loop over these 10 values. So I'm just going to say for int I start from 0, I is less than 10, sample just, let me just say sample dot, do we have sample dot length or sample dot size? What exactly is happening? Maybe let me just use 10, less than 10, because I don't see what's happening. And then maybe I'm going to add 1 each and every loop here. I'm just going to add 1 to I, right? And then here I'm just going to say I want to loop out, so I'm going to see out the value of I. Now I'm going to loop out, I'm going to like print out the value of I, then I'm going to come back again and then print out the value of sample. You can understand that now we are not working with sample, we have just declared sample. We are not going to use it in here as of now. I'm just going to loop the value of I, because we said when it loops, it is going to loop, it says 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 10, right? So I'm just going to loop the value of I so that you understand what's happening here. And then maybe in here I'm just going to end line, because I want it to end on the new line. So now this function must be able to print like 10 values for me. 10 values, yes, I need 10 values. So let me just try something in here, which is basically unqualified fee before public on this on what did I do wrong? I think you understand. Void to mine what I think you understand, because you are a programmer. You must understand what I did wrong. As you can see, I'm not going to attend what was wrong in here because I think you know it. Otherwise, what we are doing here, I said we are going to be looping this value of I, which means the first value is 0, and then it loops, we get 1, and then it loops, we get 2 up to 9. As you can see, we didn't get 10 here, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 values. We didn't get 10. Why didn't we get 10? Because it started from 0. And we say, so long as it is less than 10, we are going to get that one. So I think for now, let me just close this one and then loop using or print these samples or these values that I have stored in the sample. So to print those ones, I'm just going to say sample, and then I'm just going to sample I, right? Meaning that now instead of printing the value I, I'm just going to print the values of I, of sample, the values of sample, right? And then maybe I am going to try to run it and see if it is working. And seemingly, oh, the problem, okay, I understand why they loaded the array first. C++ doesn't work just like other programming languages. As you can see here, it looped many times and then it was producing different values. But then it did the looping, just that the sample value had nothing in it, so it was putting whatever it wanted. So we need to load the array just like what they did in here, meaning that they for 0 to 0 sample t is t, right? So what they did in here is just like they loaded here. So now let us load it so that you can see, like for what am I doing? For int I starts from 0 and I is less than 10, and then we add a 1 into the I, and then here we're just going to say sample I, and then we initialize it to I, like this one, right? Meaning that if it's in the first loop, it is going to assign that first loop to the first value of I. The first value of I is 0, meaning that in the first loop I is going to be assigned to 0, and then the second loop I is going to be assigned to 1, the third loop I is going to be assigned to 2. I think that one is clear now. So now we see, this is how we see. In the first loop we have 0, in the second loop we have 1, third loop we have 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 9. If you don't understand this, just change this one. Why is it this not? If you don't understand this one, just change this one to string values. Like here, you can just use string values like 1 names. And then I want to cut the video, that's why I'm just going to names and then names and then names and then names and then names. Instead of this one, I just I want to comment this one, and then we are just going to initialize 3 names in here. What names? Yeah, we have 3 values, and then the first name is going to be Musa, the second name is going to be Sizwe, and then the third name is going to be Nobile, and then I think we are right. So now, instead of printing out sample in here, we're just going to print names. This is just for you to understand what's the arrays are. Otherwise, as you can see, now we have exactly the list of the names that we put in here. That we have Musa in the 0th index, and then Sizwe in the first index, and then Nobile in the second index. We can print those indexes if we want, like this. Like, once we are printing the names, the name, if name 0, we are printing Musa. We can print their indexes so that we can see, like this one. We want to print their indexes, right? We are just going to say here at, and then print the index at I, meaning that we are going to get the name and then see on which index is it available. So now let us run and see. What have I done wrong in here? Oh, I'm using pluses. This is not Java. I'm used in coding Java. Here we just use this one, the greater than, not double plus, and then run. As you can see, we have Musa at 0, we have Sizwe at 1, we have Nobile at 2. I think you remember. You can now see it. I said arrays, they start counting at 0, not 1. So meaning that Musa is at 0, not 1. Sizwe is at 1, Nobile is at 2. Meaning that the indexes here, we have only 3 indexes, only 2 indexes from 0 to 2, whereas we have 3 values. That is why we set 3 values in here. I think that's clear. Something that is going to help you is that when I do the coding, you do it along with me. Try to find your way out. If you have problems, try to solve them out. Otherwise, I want us to cut this clip in here, give you some time to practice, and then I am going to start a new clip just a few minutes.